Hey guys, welcome to my cable tutorial without cable needles. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do small cables like what you would use on a sock project without needing to have another separate cable needle. And so this works really well for cables like 1x1 twists or 2x2 twists or 3x3. I wouldn't do it for anything bigger than that. And what I mean by that, so for a 2x2 twist, that would be crossing 2 stitches over 2 stitches. So I will be demonstrating mostly 2x2 twists on this project. These are my Viking socks that I'm demonstrating on. But I will have a couple of like asymmetrical ones, so like 2x1 or 1x2. But like I said, this can be done for up to 3x3 twists pretty easily. Anything bigger than that, and it starts to get a little bit tough to maneuver all of your stitches around. So the first one that we are coming up to should be in just a couple seconds here. And this first twist that we're going to be doing is going to be a 2x2, and I'm going to be twisting my right stitches over my left stitches. So that would be the same as slipping your stitches onto a cable needle and holding them in front. So the first big step is to make sure that your working yarn is in the back, and then slip your first 2 stitches for a 2x2 twist onto your right needle. Then knit the next 2 stitches on your left needle. Now what you're going to do is you are going to take your left needle and insert it into those 2 stitches that you slipped onto your right needle. And this can get a little tricky. Sometimes you split stitches, but just be patient and you'll get it. So you can kind of see that's what I'm showing there. And now here's the part where you really have to be brave and just trust yourself. So what you're going to do here is you are going to then pinch between your thumb and your pointer finger the 4 stitches that are part of your cable. And what you're going to do is you are going to slide your right needle out of all 4 of those stitches. So yeah, you just got to be brave. You're pinching it so those stitches aren't going to go anywhere. Just trust yourself. And now you're going to take your right needle and you're going to slide it into those 2 stitches that you knit. So these were the 3rd and 4th stitches in the cable, the 2 that you knit. And now you're going to knit those 2 slipped stitches that have moved over to your left needle. So like I said, this is the same as if you slipped your first 2 stitches onto a cable needle, held it in front, knit the next 2, then slipped those 2 stitches off the cable needle back onto your left, and then knit them as normal. So now you have completed a right over left twist. So I'm just going to keep knitting the rest of this row. I didn't mention this at the beginning because I didn't have a ton of time, but I'm doing this a little bit differently where I'm doing this as a voiceover, obviously. And that was mostly just that I could go ahead and record this video while I was at work and not have to worry about, talking and knitting. Because I tried to record it once, doing that, and that was a little bit tough. This takes a little bit of focus and trying to, knit and make sure that what I'm doing is in view of the camera and make sure that everything's in focus, and then try and talk on top of that. It's just a little bit too tough for me. So yeah, like I said, this works really well for the kind of cables that you'll find on socks, which are typically a little bit smaller. It also works best with the type of needles that you're going to be using on socks, which tend to have sharper points on them. If you have needles that have pretty dull points, this doesn't always work very well, especially if you're a tight knitter like I am. But yeah, like smaller size needles, like 1s or 2s, tend to have pretty sharp points, even if they're not specifically, lace points or anything. So this should be no problem. And I'm a very tight knitter, so if you are something of a normal knitter, normal tension, then this should be fine for you. So we saw a right over left twist, and now we're coming up to the twists on the back of the sock, which are going to be left over right. So this is the same thing as if you were to slip your first 2 stitches and then hold them in back. So now you want to have your working yarn in the front. You take those first 2 stitches again and slip them onto your right needle. And now what we're going to do is we are going to move that working yarn around to the back so that we can then knit the next 2 stitches. So nothing is really that different than before. So now we're going to knit those next 2 stitches. And similar to before, we're now going to take our left needle and slide it into those 2 slipped stitches, but now we're going to do it around the back. Before we did it around the front, and that was what allowed those stitches to twist in front of the 3rd and 4th. Now we're slipping it in the back, and that will allow those 1st and 2nd stitches to slip behind the 3rd and 4th. So this is really the only tricky part, is remembering, kind of where do you need to have your yarn when you slip those stitches, and where do you need to insert your needle. So again, we're going to pinch it between our thumb and forefinger, be really brave, pull the needle out of all 4 stitches, and then slide it back into the 3rd and 4th that are kind of just hanging out there free. And you know, if you split a stitch, that's what happens. Don't worry too much about it. You can always fix it on the next row. So yeah, now I have those third and fourth stitches recaptured on my right needle. Those are the stitches that I knit, and I go back and I knit the first and second stitches that I had originally slipped from my left to my right needle. And that's all there is to it. And we're going to see another quick demonstration of that on this next cable. I need to do another left over right twist. So again, I want to make sure that I have my working yarn in the front, which it already is because I was purling. So I want to have it in the front, and I slip those first two stitches, move my working yarn back around to the back so that I can knit, and then I'm going to knit the third and fourth stitches. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my left needle around the back, slide it into those first and second slipped stitches. And this is really where, you know, having a sharper needle, like a pointier needle, is really the key thing, because otherwise this is very tough. Now I'm going to pinch those stitches, be really brave, pull my needle out of all four, and then recapture the third and fourth stitches on my right needle, kind of twist them up so that my needles are back in the proper place, and then I will knit those stitches, the first and second stitch that I originally slipped. I will knit those so that they move from my left needle to my right again, and that's it. Now I have done a left over right twist, and again, that's the same as if you slipped your stitches to a cable needle and held it in back, and kind of did a cable the traditional way. So yeah, this is super easy. I really love this method. Now that I really have this down, I find that I can't even think of, you know, using a cable needle anymore, because it's just, that would be such a nuisance now that I know how to do it without one. So I think now I paused the video and took a quick break to kind of knit a row, because I had to, you know, knit the next row. The next row, there wasn't any cabling. And now I will show you again how to do these cables, just kind of as one more example on how to do them. And these ones are not necessarily like knit over knit twists. Some of these are a little bit different. So we'll kind of see how those happen as we come to them. So this first one, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be crossing those two knit, or no, apparently not. This is what happens when you record voiceovers a couple days after you recorded the video. So now I'm going to slip those two knit stitches over the one purl stitch to their left. So, and I want them to be in front. So again, I'm going to have my working yarn in the back, slip the first two stitches from left to right. I'm going to purl that third stitch. And now I want to put my left needle into the front of those first and second stitches. And again, I'm going to pinch everything between my thumb and my forefinger, and I'm going to be brave, slide my needle out of all three stitches, and then recapture that third stitch on my right needle as best I can. Like I said, you can always fix a split stitch in the next row. Untwist my needles, and then I'm going to go ahead and knit those first and second stitches. And now what I'm going to do is I want to do another 2x2 twist with the two purl stitches right there on my left needle, and then the two knit stitches after them. So I'm going to want those purl stitches to go in the back. So I had my working yarn in front, slipped those two purl stitches, moved my yarn back around to the back, knit the third and fourth stitch. Now I'm going to slide my left needle in the back of those first and second stitches. I'm going to go ahead and pinch everything, pull my needle out, and I'm going to recapture the third and fourth stitches that I had already knit. And watching this is like so nerve-wracking, because when I do it, it's not scary at all, but watching it, I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? But like I said, once you really know what you're doing, it's no problem. So then I'm going to purl those two purl stitches that I had originally slipped. Just like that. And now I want to do a right over left cross. So I have my working yarn in the back, slip those first two stitches. I'm going to purl the third and fourth stitches. And then I'm going to go ahead and take my left needle and insert it into the first and second stitch along the front. Then I'm going to pinch everything, slide my needle out, and then I'm going to recapture that third and fourth stitch, which are the two purl stitches that I purled already. Now I'm going to untwist my needles and then go ahead and knit those two knit stitches that I had originally slipped. Easy as pie. And then this is the last cable that I'm going to do for the row. So I'm going to do a left over right twist. I want to cross those 2 knit stitches over that single purl stitch. So I have my working yarn around in the front, slip that stitch, move my yarn around to the back, go ahead and knit the 2nd and 3rd stitch there. Now I'm going to take my needle, and behind I'm going to slip it into that purl stitch that I slipped, the 1st stitch. I'm going to go ahead and grip everything between my thumb and forefinger, slide my needle out, recapture the 2nd and 3rd stitches, untwist my needles, and then go ahead and purl that 1st stitch. Just like that. And now that was, what was that, 4 cables done? I never needed to grab another needle. I didn't really need to stop what I was doing. I didn't need to put anything down or let go of the yarn at all during that whole time, which is really, I think, where this is beneficial, especially for projects like socks, which tend to be, you know, very on-the-go kind of project, a project that you can kind of pull out anywhere and work on anywhere. That's why it's so beneficial to be able to do these cables without needing to have a cable needle. And that's what it looks like. So yeah, these Viking socks, it's a very intricate cable pattern, as you can see, and I've been doing the whole thing without ever needing another cable needle. So I really love this method. This is not something that I made up. I found this on a blog post a while ago, which I will try and find and link in the description below. But yeah, I really think this is a great method. I encourage you to give it a try. It will take a little while to kind of, you know, figure it out and really get the hang of it. But you just have to be brave and do it, and you'll be fine. So yeah, let me know if you give this a shot, and I hope that this helped someone to overcome their fear of cabling. Thanks, guys, and I will see you next time. Bye!